Today we have Anjali Ramesh with us today. Anjali Ramesh did her BTech from IIT Madras from the batch of 2016. She did her BTech in electrical engineering, and she joined IIM Ahmedabad this year to pursue her MBA. But more special than both of these things is she has got All India rank 494 in the UPSC, and also added to that, her father is also an IAS officer, Mr. Ramesh Chand Meena, and one more special thing is her sister, Miss Anamika, she has cleared UPSC this year along with her younger sister. So thank you, Anjali, for joining us and congratulations to you.
Thank you. I should really thank you for inviting me. And it is my pleasure to be here.
Thanks, Anjali. Hopefully, definitely your experiences would be helpful to the aspirants, both your CAT experiences and your UPSC experiences. So, Anjali, take us through your schooling. How was your childhood like? And then take us through your college days as well.
So, because my father is an IS officer of Tamil Nadu cadre, throughout my childhood, my father had a lot of transfers. He kept shifting from one place to another. So, on an average, until maybe my fifth, sixth standard, I never stayed in one place more than like 2 years. I always kept moving. I moved across districts. I moved across boards. I have done CBSC, ICSC, matriculation, state board. I've never even had a consistent second language. My second languages kept shifting from Tamil, Hindi, French sometimes. Only after I came to Chennai that it became a little bit more consistent. Then still I did my schooling for 2 years in Velamal, 3 years in Velamal, and then 2 years in Padma Shashadri, KK Nagar. After which I moved to Kota to prepare for my JE. And that is about my schooling in a nutshell. With respect to college, the fact I was always someone who was very much interested in science and math, and I knew that this is my forte. So I never had a doubt about what I wanted to do in undergrad. And my father is from IIT Delhi, electrical engineering. So I also knew okay, IIT is something which is renowned and is a good institution. And I had enough knowledge about what IIT has to offer quite early on in my life. So that goal was also set in my mind. So hence I moved right after my 10th to Kota for preparing for IIT. 2 years dedicated preparation there. Got through into IIT Madras dual degree program, BTech and MTech in electrical engineering. And when I talk about my time in college, I feel like in college, right after I entered college, this question of now what? That is the question that came to my mind. Now what? Okay, I'm here, but I have not planned for anything beyond this. And I am a kind of person who has a very clear thought process of what I have to do. And so after that, I started taking a lot of different electives, asking myself questions like, do I want to do core engineering, non-core job, or do I want to go into research, teaching? So, and I even did a little bit of extracurricular activities. So with respect to core engineering, I decided I would like to answer that question by doing an internship with DRDO. So I did an internship with DRDO. It was a robotics internship, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time. But at the same time, I felt that I would like to be in a more dynamic atmosphere. So I was like, let me also try and do another internship and probably this time have a very different flavor, not an engineering flavor. So the next year I did an internship with Citibank, and I liked it better because whatever work I was doing, it had a context beyond the work. It had a context in terms of markets it was affecting. And so I enjoyed that. And during that time, I was taking up courses like Principles of Economics in my undergrad. So I started leaning a little bit on the economics and finance side, and I started enjoying that. But before I commit to anything, I was like, okay, let me look and understand what teaching and research has to offer also. So in my final year, I took up we have a compulsory dual degree project, which is a 1-year research project. So I took up a 1-year research, quite extensive project. And at that time, I was also a teaching assistant to 2 professors in IIT Madras. And this, my idea was, okay, this I need to do to understand if I can do this sustainably for my lifetime, teaching and research. So I tried that also. And I was like, okay, teaching is interesting. I like teaching, but research, it's quite isolating. I don't know if I can continue that with for a lifetime. So I tried that also. During my college, I took up a 1-year exchange program to TU Munich also to figure out if I want to live in India or I want to live abroad and pursue my education abroad. And I started to feel like though I enjoyed the experience of the exchange, I realized I I was like a fish out of water, and I felt most comfortable in my own community when I'm working for my community. And this was strengthened more by my time that I spent with NSS. So I was very actively involved with NSS during my time in IIT Madras, and I've done many projects. I was a project representative which for a project which was a teaching project at an orphanage in Chennai. So, and many other projects like I used to edit articles for social science magazines which were distributed in different schools. So these kind of projects which had a social impact, they they helped me shape my psyche a bit. And I started to like such work, and I started to get oriented towards such work. So I always had this in the back of my mind that, you know, such work gives me satisfaction. It makes me happier in general. And also the other side of the coin is I have seen my father's work. I've seen what kind of impact he has had in his community. So that always, that image, that idea, that perspective I always had. And so I thought I would, though I didn't act on it very much, because when I was graduating, I was only 21, and 21 is the minimum age for UPSC. And I was like, okay, I still have time. I can still explore a little bit, understand what I need to do. So then I decided to take up a job with an investment bank in Mumbai. Specifically, it was Credit Suisse. And I worked there. I thoroughly enjoyed my time. It was good fun, got a lot to learn, met great people. It was all good. But like always, there was this itch in me. Okay, whatever I'm doing, it is only benefiting, it's for profit, and it's benefiting a very small number of people, particularly the shareholders of the company. Does my work have any value beyond it? Does my work have any value beyond just increasing business for Credit Suisse? And that question, and also I started recognizing the fact that it's a very high opportunity cost to stay in this firm during this time of my life where I am not giving an attempt to UPSC. So I was like, and with respect to UPSC, the earlier you get in, it's better, because the progression happens with time. So I then decided, after like working for a year, that I will move to, and I'll give this exam. So I resigned and I gave this exam. So I have given 2 attempts. In the first attempt, this exam is in 3 phases. So it's prelims, mains, and interview. In the first attempt, I couldn't clear prelims. In the second attempt, I cleared prelims, mains, and interview, and I've gotten selected in the final list. So that was my journey. And that is more or less why I am here right now. I've also, talking of IIM Ahmedabad, during that time, which is last year, 2019, I decided to write for CAT also, primarily because I wanted to always keep my options open. As my story, more or less, you realize that I like to like dwell into things. I try to like always explore. So I wanted to keep my options open. So for that, I decided to apply to ABC, and I applied only to their premier PGP program, and I cleared all of them. I got converted all 3 calls. So yeah.
So very nice to hear your journey, Anjali. So Anjali, many people might feel that since your father is also an IAS, it might have been easier. But on the other side of the coin is the pressure that also comes along with it, right? So how was it for you?
My father, he wrote his exam in 1990, if I'm not wrong. And at that time, the exam was very different than what it is. That time, the pattern of the exam, prelims had optional subject. There were 2 optional subjects. There weren't as many general science study subjects. So it was quite different. Though my father, lovely man, always wanted to help us, guide us, but I don't know how much his guidance was relevant to this time and age. So apart from that, the one thing that I will give credit for is he always, because he had gone through the same process himself, and it took him 3 attempts to clear the exam, he always was that guiding voice telling us that, you know what, this is normal. This exam is like this. It is not a reflection of your capabilities. It's a reflection of the variability that this exam holds. And that very sensible voice is very important in your life when you, especially writing this exam, because this exam will make you question your capabilities, no matter who you are. This exam will make you, because it's a very isolating exam and a very long exam and a very arduous exam. So you will start, self-doubt is bound to creep in. And you need to have those people around you who will tell you ki it is not you. Just be patient. And all it requires is 1 attempt in which you clear this exam. There might be many attempts in which you don't, and none of them will matter when you do clear it. So that very sensible voice was my father. So that is how I think my family provided me the guidance more than academic guidance, because my father didn't have that much idea. He's in Tamil Nadu and most of the coaching centers are based out of Delhi. So he didn't have that much idea of preparation also. But the psychological guidance was there. The pressure, I think the pressure was more external than internal in my family. It was pressure of outside world. Okay, you're an IAS officer, your daughters are writing, they have to clear. But my family never let that pressure come to us, which I'm very grateful for, because I don't know if I would have even cleared the exam if I had to deal with that kind of pressure on a day-to-day basis. So yeah.
So Anjali, your sister Anamika has also been preparing for civils, and it took, quite some time for her, and she cleared it along with you. So while you were seeing your sister, did you feel that okay, it might be difficult for me as well? What will happen if I don't clear it in the subsequent attempts? So was that doubt there at some point in your mind?
So with respect to my sister, because she was there in front of me, seeing, there were a couple of things that helped me with, because she was there. More like my father probably was not the guiding factor as much, but as my sister was, she had gone through the process. She knew the inside and outs of the process. The fact that I was able to clear it in 2 attempts, most of the credit goes to my sister, because she told me, Anjali, do this, don't do this, here you're wasting time. And if you ask any aspirant, they will tell you that it takes a long time to understand the exam, because the exam syllabus is that vast. So the guidance was there from my sister. So because my sister was writing it, I always felt a degree of comfort that my sister is there, she'll be able to guide me well. Secondly, I also, whenever I had doubt about, oh my God, it's a 1 year, 2 year process, just the selection process is a 1 year process. I'll write in this year and I'll get results next year. And I was like, why am I cribbing so much? I mean, my sister has been going through this for a while, and so I didn't have reasons to crib in my family, because people around me, my sister had been struggling for much longer, and she's still putting her heart and soul into the process. So that was a mode of inspiration more than doubt. There were lessons I learned from her journey, which was more of, okay, always keep your options open. You don't want to be in a situation where, because of the length of the journey and the difficulty of the journey, you start questioning your capabilities. So that, learning from a journey, I decided to always like talk to people and like make sure that WriteCat have an option open there. I even applied for Teach for India fellowship. I had an option open there. I had applied for a job at L&T. I had an option open there. So I had multiple options open with me. So at every time, say, suppose I had gotten rejected during the process of this exam, I never started to doubt myself. I always had a fallback. So those are the lessons I learned from my sister's journey.
So Anjali, there is a lot of technology that is available today. Everyone is on social media, and even without knowing, we spend a lot of time. It's both a boon and a bane. But then if you use it in the right way, that's very useful. So how did you keep yourself out? Because it eats away time, right? So how did you manage that? Because it helps us keep in touch with our friends, our family members, and sometimes you have this fear of missing out on things. So how did you manage your time? And especially the time that goes away on social media, without even knowing.
That's true. So actually, like you said, social media can be both a boon and a bane. So social media per se, so a lot of the coaching material you find on YouTube, a lot of it, you have websites like Insights, Vision. So I spent a lot more time on websites like Insight, Vision, Hindu, and very honestly, I'm not a very inquisitive person or a curious person. I don't spend that much time on Facebook and Instagram just by nature. So I never had that problem. However, keeping in touch with friends, I have a very small set of friends, who I'm very close to and who I'm in touch with through WhatsApp. And I made it a point to be in contact with them throughout my journey, because you need that support system who believes in you, who has seen you during your good times when you have done well in life, to tell you that, Anjali, you can still do well in life. So you need that support system. So I was in touch with them, but I didn't spend that much time on Facebook or Instagram, honestly. And this pattern of this exam is such that if you end up doing it quite seriously, you will not, just out of, because there is nothing of relevance to you in Facebook and Instagram. You will not find anything relevant there. So if you're doing it seriously, just because of the journey, you will stop spending time. Yeah.
So Anjali, you've spoken very well of your undergrad and how it helped you explore yourself and how it shaped you. So there might be a few students who are in their undergrad who, at the back of their mind, they might have that, okay, I might go for civil services. So what are some of the things that they should be doing that, that would help them, like maybe reading or maybe doing, if they're, there are people who are not sure. So what they should be doing while in their undergrad to know whether it is really the thing that they want to go in their future or not.
So the two parts to this question: people who are not sure and people who are sure. For people who are not sure, I would suggest find out your motivation as to why you're even interested. My motivation, I was very clear, because of my background, I knew the bad things about the service as well. And more than the good, I knew the bad things, and that is why I didn't want to enter the service right out of college, and that is why I wanted to go into private sector, figure that space out first. So for people who are not sure, find out your motivation. Is your motivation public service? Is it a social impact? What are you looking for? Are you looking for a good career progression? And figure that motivation out. And what helped me figure that motivation out was working in different projects with, say, NSS, or being associated with Teach for India. So these social impact projects really help me understand where I find happiness and where I find my satisfaction, and where I see myself long term. And you have to remember, your career is not a 5-year, 10-year, it's a 35, 40-year process. You have to be in that, and you have to enjoy the process. So figure out your motivation. And once you have your motivation clear as to why you want to do it, it can be anything. It can be because of the job satisfaction. It can be because you want social impact. It can be work-life balance. It can be, some people do it because they feel that this is a powerful post to be in. It has a lot of career opportunities. You can network with people. Whatever your motivation is, know yourself well enough to know what your motivation is and keep it close to your heart, because that is what will get you through the exam. So for people who are not sure, figure your motivation. Once you're sure of why you're doing it and you have set your mind to doing it, and if you are lucky enough that you have figured that out in your undergrad, then, and you still have time in your hand to do it, then I would suggest start reading newspaper religiously, because it will help you later during the process, and also it will give you the kind of knowledge that will expand your horizon like no other. And it will be helpful everywhere, in your placement process, in your interview, in your CAT examination, even if you decide to write it, everywhere. So start reading newspapers religiously. And if you have made the decision of writing UPSC a little early in your undergrad, then pick a subject which you might choose for as your optional subject much later, and invest in courses in your college which have a certain commonality with your syllabus of UPSC. So if, suppose I chose mathematics, but if I had this information much before, maybe in my second or third year, I could have taken the courses that were anyways part of my syllabus. Take those courses, utilize the resources that are present to you, and your college professors are full of information, and utilize it and leverage it. So those are my two things: pick a subject and start reading newspapers if you are aware of what you're doing in your undergrad.
I think very well pointed out, Anjali. I think you spoke about introspecting whether really this is the thing you want to do, and also exposing yourself to different things, because unless we really work on it, unless we get ourselves involved, it kind of becomes difficult for us to understand what we actually want. So, Anjali, what suggestions would you have for the, future aspirants, both for CAT and for UPSC?
For CAT aspirants, so CAT aspirants come from all kinds of various backgrounds, and MBA is a very generalist course, so they all have their own motivation of why they are doing it, and it can be any kinds of reasons: to explore yourself, to increase your career opportunities. So just enjoy the time. I think it's a very good process. CAT is a very good process, very fun process. Once you get into IIM Ahmedabad or Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, Indore, wherever, hopefully, and you will enjoy it. Just give it your best, because it's actually, even the time in Ahmedabad is also very difficult. At least that's what I realized. People are put through a lot of stress, so give it your best. And for people, UPSC aspirants, I think one advice that I give it to everyone is, have patience. This is a long process. Like I said, self-doubt is bound to creep in. Have patience and keep your friends and family very close. Keep your support system very close, who will tell you that this is something you can do. And even if self-doubt creeps in, like, take that break. from your education. Take that break. Take that a break for a day or two. Go meet your friends and come back. Come back rejuvenated. Just putting yourself, isolating yourself will not do you any good. So have patience and have faith. And if nothing else in life gives you faith in God, this exam UPSC will. UPSC will make you believe in God because of the degree of variability that it has. So just have faith.
Thanks a lot, Anjali, and we wish you all the best for a illustrious career ahead.
Thank you so much for inviting me.